I recently came across the Time 100 Are They Worthy candidate list and decided to look for my two favorite candidates, Jon Stewart and Stephen Colbert. And, of course, they were both on the list, thankfully, so yay, fabulous. But something about the pros and cons section for Jon Stewart's candidacy page struck me as odd. So each candidate has pros and cons for why they should or should not be considered culturally significant individuals. His pros list that he has won 9 Emmys, that his show averages 1.4 million viewers per night, which I would point out doesn't include the internet audience, and that many people have actually cited it as their only news source. Okay, all well and good for the pros. But for the cons that are listed, it claims that Jon Stewart has been accused of fostering a self-righteous attitude towards politics in America's youth, ultimately rendering them complacent and apathetic. Now, my first reaction to reading this is, what in the world are they talking about? Who would make such a backwards accusation? I mean, okay, maybe self-righteous. I can see some accusations of that, but complacent and apathetic? No, 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 no. I protest. It's not true. It isn't. Alright? And it seems to me that someone who would make a statement like this is someone who likely does not understand the role of satire, does not really understand the show, and has absolutely no understanding of the fan base, and should really sit in on a good viewing of The Daily Show with hardcore fans, because it's lots and lots of fun and very enthusiastic, believe me. Anyway, so I've decided to help whoever this is that would think such things by explaining what appeal satire has to those of us who love this show so much, and why it is actually a motivating force. There's 2 reasons. 1, satire provides a fresh, sharp, and entertaining look at society, which it achieves by spotlighting life's ironies. Okay? Now, the ironies are those things which in which there's a disconnect between what's ultimately expected and what is real, or what is actually happening. At least in this case, this is the kind of irony I'm talking about. And it's so central to so many human experiences, yet it very frequently goes uncommented upon. So that when you see satire that brings out these ironies, it feels very enlightening and very fresh and very invigorating, motivating even. That satire, political satire, harmonizes that which is both hidden or uncommented upon, and that which is obvious and which is central to the given issue of the day. So, in harmonizing these 2 things, satire strikes a positively pleasant chord in one's mind and heart. Mind and heart. Sorry. In doing so, satire calls our attention to issues being obscured by politicians and distorted by the media. That is why The Daily Show fans consistently demonstrate above average knowledge of current affairs and politics. Now, number 2, satire belittles the greedy, the incompetent, and the self-righteously insane. And this I consider an equally important public service and an equally important motivator. Because when you watch just traditional media or read just traditional news sources, you might get the impression that the problems we're facing are too grand in scale, that there's too stark of violence, that there's too much stupidity just everywhere, that there's it's so deeply embedded in our culture that where do you even begin to start solving these problems and start fixing these issues? But when you get that satirical edge on it, when you bring things down to a manageable level by ridiculing them, it becomes much more digestible and becomes much more, there's created a greater potential for actually changing things, for believing that you can actually correct these problems and do something to prevent the same thing from happening in the future again. And it brings it also down to point out that the people who are making these mistakes and things are fallible humans. They aren't just all-powerful entities that are, beyond bringing down to your own level. They are human and they are replaceable, or as Al Gore put it, politicians are a renewable resource. So, when we think of it that way, you might think to yourself, I'm intelligent and I care about what's going on. That's also true of many of my friends, and I bet there's lots of other people in the country who would actually feel the same way. So I wonder if maybe some of us could connect together and actually get some people who would do good in positions of power into those positions. It's just a possibility. Or even go further and just do it yourself. I would also like to go on record here now saying that if I ever become famous from writing a book or going into politics or anything similar to that at all, I will not consider myself successful until I am interviewed by either Jon Stewart or Stephen Colbert. And I'm sure many of their avid fans probably feel the same way. So, that's it from me. I just wanted to share the love and say thank you to both Jon and Stephen for providing a sumptuous slice of home for me while I'm living abroad, and that I'll be going to New York City in June. So I'm very excited, and I'm hoping I can sneak in and see the show. Alright, thanks for listening. Bye-bye.